Welcome back to the Love Inspired Leadership Podcast. I'm so thrilled that you are here. And this is another opportunity in this space where heart, courage, and transformation meet. Today's guest, Jessper Maquindang. How did I do? I hope I did well.
You got it.
Thanks. Embodies what happens when we choose to turn our challenge into this fuel and fire of desire. And from his childhood with asthma to crossing ultra marathon finishing lines, that's beyond a marathon. Like I told you before we got on here, Jessper, I run a marathon, but ultra, wow. Jessper's story radiates the true essence of resilience, hope, and unstoppable will to be a love-inspired leader. His journey reminds us all that every setback can be the start of something extraordinary. Oh my goodness, this is good, Jessper. Thank you for saying yes to be on my podcast.
Carolyn, thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to this conversation.
Beautiful. So I'm just going to dive in then. So can you share what it was like growing up with asthma and how that shaped your ability to be a part of life and as well as your outlook on life in having that disability?
Absolutely. For me, just reflecting on growing up, it was about second grade. I remember I started breathing weird, unusually, and remember being rushed to the hospital and the doctor making the announcement, Mr. and Mrs. Maquindang, your son has asthma. And growing up, when people discover you have a limitation, a disability, you'll discover that they lower their expectations for you. They start to put limits on you. They start to realize and fear that you can't do much. For example, I just remember being told by my parents, stay indoors, stay away from pollen, stay away from dust, stay away from pet fur. Essentially, it's a dangerous world out there, essentially. And we always hear about that metaphor of that kid in a dark room where they're looking out the window and they see all the other kids having fun, running around on their bike, playing soccer, but they're out in the street just smiles and this great joy. And you have that kid inside, stuck, feeling trapped. That's not the type of lifestyle I wanted to live. But I remember growing up, I was just inspired by people who had accomplished major goals, especially that of marathon runners. And one day I told myself, I'm going to accomplish a marathon. One day I'm going to do that. I put it on my list.
How old were you then when you made that decision? Because this is the moment in time that I find the most fascinating about loving your life, being that love-inspired leader within yourself. So was there a moment in time that you decided that that was going to be, what was that moment like for you? Like, it's a marker, don't you think? Like, that's when you changed your mind from listening to your parents and saying, don't participate in life. All those people are having fun out there, but you know what? You need to stay in here, stay safe. And I mean, they're loving you, of course. And all the doctors and everybody else saying, this is your life. You just have to stay here. So what was it that was, I call it that hard right when you changed the direction of your life? What was that?
Absolutely. And I wanted to add to that. You brought up a good point. For my parents, it wasn't that they just wanted to stop everything. It's their intention to keep us safe.
Yes, absolutely. And they love you to the ends of the earth. As a parent, you love your children so much. And part of the responsibility is keeping them safe. So,
That's right.
Yeah. So that's a given. But what was that moment like when you saw this ultramarathon? Did you see it on TV or did you go to an event? What was it that changed your mind?
Well, for me, I wanted to stay active and I just took it step by step. I mean, I didn't run those 26.2 miles overnight. It was a process that took time. So first day, I put my shoes on, just training shoes on. Next day, put your training shoes on, take a few steps. And then put your training shoes on, take a few more steps. And then take that as a process. Over time, I signed up for my first 5K. And after that, accomplished it and realized I can do this. After that, I wanted to step up and do my first 10K. So I signed up for that. Of course, that added to the challenge. So a little bit more training, time, and effort. But when I accomplished that, I realized I'm really making actual progress on this. That's where I signed up for my first half marathon. And then, of course, more time and effort to get training time in. And then after finally accomplishing my half marathon, I realized this is possible. This is all possible. Even growing up with asthma, I still had to ensure I didn't put too much pressure on myself. Again, it's a process to take it step by step. But once I signed up for my first full marathon, it was on the calendar. And I realized this is a different level of effort to really put into what we're striving for. I remember my first fall. It was the San Diego Rock and Roll in 2014. For these races, we have to get up early and arrive at the starting line early. So I remember it was about maybe 6 a.m. I'm at the starting line looking out into the distance, and I realized, what in the world did I just sign up for? I was the sense of nervousness. I could just feel my hands trembling, my legs shaking. But I kept reminding myself, I made it this far. It's too late to turn back. And I put in a lot of time and effort into getting here. I reminded myself, Jessper, trust your training. You did put in the time and effort. So as I crossed that starting line, I just kept reminding myself, trust your training, trust your training. Of course, as we gain more miles and reach more of that path, that puts a lot more pressure on our bodies, especially our legs. I remember halfway just feeling that pressure build up. But I remember that purpose, that drive, that motivation that's brought me this far. If I can tap into that to remind myself to keep going, that's what gave me the inspiration to keep pushing forward, one foot in front of the other. Again, it's a process, one step at a time. But once I crossed that 26.2 mile finish line, it brought that great sense of joy. And that's the turning point when I realized, yes, many things are possible when we put the time, effort, commitment, dedication, and energy into the major things we're striving for.
Well, it's so true. And I remember my marathon too. I spoke before we got on this podcast to you, and it was in Los Angeles. And I went with 3 high school friends, and we were in our 50s. And it was the most glorious celebration for all of us to come across the finish line together. And we didn't come across together exactly the same time because we got split up a little bit. But anyway, when we celebrated that night to have grown up together and reached that milestone, I remember running, just like you said, that my legs felt like they were lead. And I still had, I don't know, another 8 miles to go. And it's what you said. It's having this purpose. It was the most present experience for me at the time to celebrate my own accomplishment and win. And I felt that in your description too. So it's important to set these targets and these milestones that we're working towards, don't you think?
I believe so. Especially, I like how you said celebration, because when we're striving for major goals, all that time and effort, we tend to forget the end result. But once we reach that, once we accomplish great things, it's that moment to really honor the process that we've been through.
Yeah, and the courage and the commitment and the time and the energy and the effort. I have a 6-step system called the AIM High system in my business, activating your inspired mindset. And step 6 is celebration. For a good part of my life too, Jessper, I would reach this goal without even celebrating the milestone of that. And so now I'm very purposeful and passionate to not only celebrate it within myself, but to celebrate that joy and that positivity with others who I care about, because then they get to share in the celebration with me. So it's a shared connection of joy and gratitude. So do you do that too?
Absolutely. When we achieve wins, big or small, we want to share that experience with others, because if we accomplish something great and keep it to ourselves, it's a missed opportunity for other people to, one, share in celebration, and two, serve as a source of inspiration, because the great things we achieve for ourselves serves as a point of motivation and inspiration for others.
So that's really your role. I mean, your calling is this. You know, you have faced extraordinary challenges in your younger years. You had the wisdom within them. So this is what I'm going to ask you this. So it was your internal voice of courageous wisdom that spoke to you, that shifted some of your beliefs and also intentions, that you could keep going, keep moving forward and stay on this path. So what would you say to that internal voice? Like, how did you talk to yourself? Because to me, this is everything about being a love-inspired leader. We need to be our own inspiration. So how do you talk to yourself?
Carolyn, I like how you brought up the idea of courageous wisdom, because at that time, I was nervous. I didn't know what to expect, but I realized what I've learned, especially over the younger years, what asthma has taught me is this idea of patience and dedication. And when we stick to certain values, and when we see values taking action and bringing results, that's the source of what can remind us that anything is possible when we tap into those values. So at the time, it did not look and feel like courageous wisdom. But as I continued to really step into those values, it turned into courageous wisdom.
It does, doesn't it? It's so fascinating. I think, here's my perspective, Jessper, on life. I think it's a grand adventure. I think every day is this power of possibility to keep learning, to keep growing, to keep aiming higher, to find this position of our calling, our purpose, our passion to serve the world. I mean, I know at one point you didn't realize that you would be speaking about this 5K, 10K, marathon, ultra marathon, like you are right now. So your limitations, the pain of that has fueled your fire of desire for your purpose in life, correct?
Correct. I like how you brought up the idea of fire of desire for purpose, because when we really look at that big why, that really gets us up in the morning and inspires us to really keep pushing forward for, again, reaching our potential.
So true. I wake up every day grateful. I think that's one of the most important things that we can connect with. I think of, as soon as I'm consciously awake and I realize I am, I go to 10 different places I'm grateful for. And I describe the reason for that. So I'll say, I'm grateful for this podcast to interview you today, because I always know that I receive inspiration and gifts and beautiful wisdom from the individuals that I have the honor of interviewing. And you are a true athlete, love-inspired leader in your own life. And you've also taken that and put it into a form to share that with the world. And to me, that is commendable, Jessper, sorry. So I love this question. So what are your daily practices, your daily disciplines that anchor your love-inspired leadership of yourself so you can keep moving forward, and maybe describe a little bit of the values that are connected to those daily disciplines?
Absolutely. There are three I'd like to share. The first one is running in of itself, because what running has and continues to teach me is this idea of presence. When we're out on the trail, when we're out on a pathway, we're not scrolling out, we're not looking down on our phones, endlessly scrolling. We're actually out with nature, connected with the world. And it gives us just an opportunity to really have some more clear thinking as we're getting those steps in, out in when we're training. The second thing I'd like to share is meditation. Just that opportunity to really take a deep breath, slow down, because when we look at today's world, fast pace, so much going on, so many moving pieces, but when we take the time to sit back, take a deep breath, reflect within, that gives us an opportunity to really find balance. And then the third one is celebrating wins, big or small. When we look at our day, of course, many of us are busy and have so much going on, but when we take the time to really acknowledge just the progress we've been making day in and day out, that really gives us an opportunity to really show ourselves that, yes, we are making progress and we're on the path of improvement every day. It reminds me of that idea of just 1% improvement every day. When that adds up, that gets to that 365% growth every year.
Isn't that amazing? So I have to weave in, I run every day too. I do my 5-kilometer jaunt, I call it. So I'm more mature than you, meaning older. And so I just take my time. I used to race and push, and now it isn't a jog and it isn't a walk, it's a jaunt. And I receive nature's nourishment. It is a very sacred, beautiful, grateful experience during my 5K. The seasons change. The same people are there, and I get to shine my love light on them and say, good morning, have a great day. And they try and beat me to it. People in their 80s, some of them in their 90s with walkers. I mean, they're beautiful along the ocean. And I feel so connected to that presence that you spoke of. And the fourth step of my AIM High system is presence. Isn't that interesting? So you and I are connected, Jessper. I love it.
There are many values that really bring out our potential.
Well, there is, and it's up to us to find it, to resource it. The last 5 years of my life, I have really been looking at, so how can I honor myself in my mental health and my physical health, in what I eat, in what I think about, in what I say, in the decisions I make in order to live my best life. And you're doing the same thing. And I just think it's so inspirational. So thank you for that. Now, if you see your journey to influence others, both in business and in a broader community, can you share with the audience what that looks like?
Absolutely. Along the lines of endurance and resilience, it's really important to really strive to keep pushing forward, because if people give up too early, whether that's in life or in business, there could potentially be a lot to give up and lose. On the flip side, if we do stay true to what we're striving for, on the other end, there's a lot to gain on that end.
And what I find fascinating about life and business is the potential is far beyond what we can even imagine or dream of. And when we're in that flow, which is what you're talking about, which is that focused presence and dedication and discipline daily, moving towards our vision, our mission, our calling, that is when I always explain that we receive gifts. And part of those gifts are success, part of those gifts are contacts, part of those gifts are meeting incredible people that can support you on your path. So every step that you've taken, every story becomes a ripple, Jessper. So your legacy is one of hope, one of grit, one of relentless positive impact, not only on your own life, but I'm sure it has been like a ripple effect on all the people that you meet, your family, your connections, your strategic alliances, the audiences that get to hear you speak. If you were going to leave one last tool, concept, or piece of wisdom, what would that be for the audience?
It's a legacy question I'd like to share with the listeners. And I want you to think about what was the greatest setback that turned out to be the foundation of your strength and what you're striving for. Because the greatest challenges in life turn out to be the greatest rewards when you really put in that time, effort to invest in your vision, mission, and calling.
Hold on, I got to give a heart on that one. That is beautiful. So, Jessper, this has been so great. Thank you so much for coming on to my podcast and just sharing your dedication and your courage and wisdom. And I'd like to let the audience know that I have a gift for you, my 21-day above the line living, and that is to live, lead, and love with unapologetic courage. And it is truly a gift for you to participate in as a love-inspired leader. And all of Jessper's information will be here in the show notes, available for you to connect with Jessper, have a conversation with them, and link with him on social media. And this week, here's my question. Where will you turn limitation into the power of possibility this week, and build resilience in your own love-inspired leadership journey? Thank you, Jessper, and take good care. Thank you for joining me on the Love Inspired Leadership Podcast. If today's episode stirred something in your soul, share it with someone who's ready to aim higher. Keep holding your vision, anchor in your truth, and take intentional, inspired action, because love is all there is.
Hey, I'm Michelle Abraham, founder of the High Vibe Podcast Network, and we are honored to have Carolyn Cooper's Love Inspired Leadership show as part of our network family. For more inspiring shows like this one, visit highvibepodcastnetwork.com, and don't forget to grab your free gifts from our hosts in the gift fold. Till then, stay high vibe and keep sharing your life.